It is solvable. It was solvable 2 weeks after it happened.
March 25th, 2004, Cross Plains, Tennessee. Their last day, ? Jennifer, just 21, stands in the kitchen of her boyfriend Joey Benton's family home, where she and her 2-year-old daughter, Adriana Wicks, have been living. She has the only phone in the home in her hand and is on a call with her father. Jennifer expresses how the night before, she and her boyfriend's parents, Joe and Cindy Benton, had been involved in a very heated argument. In fact, it was so heated that Jennifer was still rattled from the night before. She moves the receiver down to talk to a muffled female voice coming from behind her. She then says goodbye to her father and hangs up the phone. And what happens next? Well, that's what we're here to find out, isn't it? Jennifer and Adriana Wicks have not been seen or heard from since March 25th, 2004. I'm a true crime investigative podcaster living in the same town where the Wicks girls went missing. Hi, I'm Jules, and I've teamed up with Jennifer's sister, Casey Robinson, to ask some big questions from our little hush town that we've been too afraid to ask each other over the last 20 years. Where are Jennifer and Adriana Wicks? Small towns talk, and guess what? We're listening. Missing in Hushtown is coming 2024, wherever you get your podcasts. The entire first season will drop in August. We'll see you then.
This podcast is hosted by RPP.
If you are easily spooked, creeped, or offended, this might not be the podcast for you.
Let's go.
Let's slay. Let's go, girls. Sorry.
We're going to get flagged for that.
Oh, we are.
This video is going to get taken down.
Taken down. I was at work yesterday and that was playing and I was trying to talk to a bride while it was playing and I was like, like I just couldn't stop. How could you with that song? Oh my God. Hello. Welcome back to I Think My Fridge is Haunted. My name is Lana.
And I'm Gemma.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for coming back. Thank you for surviving the great YouTube recording, voice recording disaster of 2024. It did great though. You did an amazing job. Thank you so much.
It's okay. Yeah, someone did write to us and say, it sounds actually okay if you've got headphones on. So if you haven't listened to our DV episode, please go back and have a listen because it's really interesting and it's a subject matter that needs to be talked about.
Absolutely. We've touched on some like really interesting, like a lot of it crossed over the last 2 episodes.
Really did.
A lot of crossover, which is very interesting.
But now we're taking like a complete left turn.
We're giving you a break. We're giving you a breath to chill out, to have some fun now. It was some pretty intense episodes. So thank you for everyone who listened and who's intending to listen because very, very important stuff.
But we're going back to our favourite place now.
What did you call it yesterday? Our orgy.
A history orgy. We're going back to medieval times.
Medieval times. We're going to turn into a medieval podcast, I swear.
We may as well. We could do a spin-off.
Honestly.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly. Write in the comments if you're
could.
interested.
Do you want more history? Because we can do more history.
We've got it. Lana, what story did you bring in today? Another history story.
Yes.
What's been going on? How are you? You just had a little bit of a break. How are you feeling?
I had a week off and it's been amazing. And I just hung out at a dog park. Do you know what I did?
Yeah.
I went to a cafe.
Okay.
And I just sat down and had a coffee.
No laptop, just sitting, having a coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Like, not running in and being like, can I get a medium latte? And like, quick, come on. Like, and then running out with it. Like, I just sat down for like 20 minutes and just drank a coffee like a normal person.
That's beautiful. I used to back in Ballarat, used to go to Collins bookstore, get a new book and then go to the cafe and sit and read my book. And
that's
have my
amazing.
Coffee.
That's like my best day except a plant shop.
Yeah, exactly. You got to add in the plant shop. It's just something like self-soothing, if you will. It's
so
self-care.
good.
It's beautiful. Oh, good. I'm so glad you had a break. I'm about to have one for my 30th birthday. Hello.
Can't wait. It's going to be so fun.
I'm very excited. The transition to 30 is very funny because people tell you about it and then it actually starts happening. It's I just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, the fucks fall away.
Don't overthink it.
Oh, no, not anymore. Like, I was...
Yeah.
Especially at the start of this year, I was like, it's all happening. But now I'm like, it's okay. It's happening. Great.
See, I'm 43 and,
Yeah, did you hear that? 43. Damn.
I'm actually at the point in my life where I have to ask my husband how old I am because sometimes, like, I legitimately forget the number.
Yeah, I think when past 30, I'm just going to be like, and I'm good. Time's just going to pass and that's okay.
Yeah. Like, Louis just had his 13th annual 27th birthday.
That's right. That's it.
So, yeah.
What did you say before as a 40th with GST?
So Greg, who's been on the pod before, in a couple of weeks, he is having his 40th birthday plus GST because when we turned 40, it was lockdown. Our whole friend group, it was 40 in lockdown. We couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he's always wanted a big blowout party. So he's doing 40. He's 44. So it's his 40th birthday plus GST.
We didn't say that, Greg, I swear. No, I love that. That's so
Doesn't look a day over 43.
No, actually. Oh my God. There's lots of birthdays at the moment. It's funny that wintertime is such like birthday vibes for Australia. I think it's just unfortunate that it falls on this time. But yeah, it is. It's good. It kind of gets me through winter.
Yeah.
Because Melbourne winter is... just
it's a bit dismal.
We're edging on the depressive stage where it's like, okay,
I'm totally going to sneeze, FYI. Sorry.
Bless you. Because I'm tired. Oh my God. Okay. So we're just talking about how much we yap. We're going to
just before. So we have a trainee podcast producer called Rachel. She's not in here, but she's going to come into the next episode. And she's super, super nice. She's got a northern English accent and she's just like super cool. And she had a little jacket that looked like she was Amelia Earhart and I loved her.
Yeah. Well, we've got like a day of guests today. We actually have a special guest here today as well. We have my sister Rose listening.
Woo! She's in the corner.
We
in
always
the shadows.
Put them. She's hiding, trying to hide. No, it's good. It's fun. It kind of keeps us like on our toes, I reckon. Makes a bit more of a live audience situation as well.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I don't really want to bring up any sort of current events at the moment because, this last couple of weeks, I don't even, just...
Yeah. Look, we discussed briefly, like maybe we should touch on some current events because at the time of recording this, it is towards the end of July and we all know what happened a couple of weeks in America. A couple of weeks ago. Not even a week, yeah.
It seems like it was like ages ago. It was like a few days ago.
Eargate. Eargate. Have you seen the Rose showed me last night people wearing bandages in solidarity?
I know.
I'm even like a little scared.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah. Here we are. We won't talk about it too much, but I kind of don't even want to because I'm kind of scared to say anything about it. Like, not that it's too affecting us in Australia, but it's just like, I don't know, the digital footprint of, opinions. I'm like,
Let me tell you something else that's been happening in America. Did you hear? I don't have the article in front of me, but according to The Guardian, a group of neo-Nazis has been foiled. Like their plans have been foiled. They had a plan this year that they were all going to dress up as Santa Clauses and give out poisoned candy to children.
what the fuck?
I believe they were going to be like targeting like I think certain types of children,
minority and etc.
And I just kind of thought, that's it.
Yeah, no, you're done. You get out of here.
Yeah. I'm going to live in Larimer.
Yeah. I'm going to go live in the middle of nowhere. I've had enough.
I'm going to be person number 11.
Population of 11.
I'm going to get a crocodile and don't contact me.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I don't want to know about this stuff anymore.
No. Well, that's something, I think I would like to bring this up just briefly. Again, we were like, we're not going to talk about sad things, but very, very interesting and poignant timing of our last 2 episodes about domestic violence, and then of course Chris Benoit being family annihilator and more kind of family domestic violence. In Australia, 2 women were diagnosed with CTE after suffering from traumatic domestic violence.
Wow.
Which I was like, no way. So if you've listened to the last episode, CTE occurs from constant head injuries.
As in a wrestler.
As wrestling, athletes, things like that. And obviously you can only diagnose it post-mortem. So 2 Australian women's kind of their brains were studied afterwards, and they had CTE.
That is so tragic.
Isn't
and that's
it?
just two people. It's just 2 people.
Just exactly. It is only 2 people out of...
But there must be a way to find out before you die.
Yes. So the Alzheimer's
Protein.
symptoms, yes, and the proteins, of course. I don't know how they identify it, how they like find it beforehand, unless someone is really exhibiting kind of Alzheimer's symptoms. So I don't know. And I guess it's just kind of like, sorry, what?
Can you imagine being hit that hard?
So often and living through it? Yeah. Yep. So I hope a little bit more, 1, awareness, and 2, study goes into that.
It's horrifying.
That is ridiculous. Like, I just thought it was very interesting. I saw it like days after we recorded as well, and I was like, no way. Are you serious? So
Yes.
definitely go listen to the whole season, but definitely those last 2 episodes are very poignant at the moment and might help you understand a little bit of how serious something like that really is. Let's do some facts though.
You got a fact?
I've got a fact. I feel like I've got a history themed one as well to keep in our vein as well. So mine's a little bit shorter, so shall I do mine first?
It's cool because I've got a long one.
Awesome.
Facts from the freezer.
Facts from the freezer.
All right. Let's get facty.
Let's get facty. Let's teach some facts today. I'm feeling very jazzy. I put some glitter on my eyes and I'm like...
I saw your highlight is like pearlescent.
Thank you. I had to do it for my girl today when we get to our story. I had to. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, so I didn't know this. Did you know that France has an Excalibur-like legendary sword that is 13,000 years old?
Sorry? What?
Yeah. So Excalibur is from King Arthur's fable of the Holy Grail, I guess. He's in lots of stories, but the sword...
The sword in the stone.
Sword in the Stone. We all know that story, but
Mad
apparently...
Madam Mim.
That's right. I didn't know that it was actually based off a real legendary sword from fables. But in I think it was the last week before, start of July, it disappeared and had been there for thousands of
Where was it? In a museum or something?
No.
How can it be 13,000 years old?
Hey Fridgies, this is Editing Gem. Lana meant to say 1,300, not 13,000.
French police are investigating the disappearance of Durandal, a sword linked to mythology. Durandal. Doesn't that sound just like epic? A sword linked to mythology akin to the fabled British King Arthur's Excalibur, after it mysteriously vanished from the village of, now we looked up the pronunciation, the Roquemandor. It's
right.
a French village where it was wedged into a rock. It was 33 feet off the ground for the last 13,000 years.
It was still there.
It was still there.
And they just did they put a fence around it or something?
Nope. So it was up this corner of like a building, and there was a rock wall. Sorry, it's blocking the microphone. There was a rock wall and the sword was wedged into the wall and there was a chain hanging off of it. So I think they put the chain there in case it fell out one day. But it never.
So they kind of just built around it.
They built around it. Let's see if I'll...
How bizarre.
There you go. That's the photo of it.
Oh my God. Is that it right there? In
Yeah.
between those 2 buildings.
It's in
That's
between those
so
2
cool.
So as the story goes...
What's that? Oh, it's just our sword.
Oh, it's just our sword. We just like it. A tourist attraction. People loved it. It attached to the wall just in case it fell out.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. It disappeared. So obviously, like understandably, the people are very upset. They
I'm
want their
upset.
sword. I know, right?
Let upset.
Where is the sword? So, the semi-legendary knight Roland wielded Durandal, which was said to be indestructible and the sharpest of all blades. Their adventures together are chronicled in the 11th century epic poem The Song of Roland, which now resides in the University of Oxford's library in England. Basically, the poem goes that like God granted Roland to wield this sword, the most amazing sword of all time. But when he was fighting, it doesn't really say who was fighting, but according to the French legend, Durandal ended up in the Rocamadour when Roland, failing to destroy his trusted blade because he was getting like overwhelmed by enemies, he wanted to prevent the sword falling into enemy hands. So the legend says that he threw it up hundreds of miles in the air.
Because it's really high on the cliff.
It is. So he threw it up and it landed in the wall, which is 33 feet off the ground. That is the legend of the sword. But it is based on, rather Excalibur is based on this actual sword in the stone. And it has disappeared. So they just assume that someone who's stolen it, of course, and they're doing a full investigation, as they should. Yeah.
Okay, so
sorry, I love this
stay
article.
tuned. We'll be giving you Durandal updates as they come in.
The town, known also for its goat's cheese, is bereft. And I agree. I understand. So there you
Thoughts
go.
and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
How'd they even get up there?
I know. There's like maybe the top of the building if you like abseiled down maybe, but I don't know how.
Yeah, but even if you can get to the level of the sword, how are you going to
How are you
pull it?
taking
It's all
it
like
out?
rusty.
Yeah, rusted. It's stuck in the sword. It's got the chain as well. Like I don't know, but I was pretty upset to find out, one, there is a sword in the stone, and two, it's gone. Leave things alone.
Get me Jack Bauer.
Get me Jack Bauer. So that's my fact for the week, and we'll bring you updates from Durandal.
That's really upsetting.
Yeah.
I've got somewhat of a heartwarming story for you.
Good.
It's a mini story, my fact.
Good.
Now, this is I read this on the BBC website, and it's about a man named Brendan Grimshaw. He was an Englishman who worked as a newspaper editor in East Africa. In 1962, he visited the Seychelles, which is a collection of 115 islands in the Indian Ocean and a luxury holiday destination for travellers worldwide.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, it's just like super luxury.
Yeah, lots of islands.
Islands.
Blue ocean.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, just like
Gorge.
super beautiful. So Grimshaw had always dreamed of owning his own island.
Cool.
Even a tiny one. But even in the 1960s, prices were only worth dreaming about. Mm-hmm. The day before he was set to fly back to Tanzania, a young man approached him in the Seychelles capital of Victoria and told Grimshaw about an island that was being sold. The man took him to the island, which was called Moyenne, and it's 4.5 kilometres off the coast of Mahe, which is Seychelles' largest island. Moyenne is this tiny, tiny island. It's 0.099 square kilometres.
Okay.
And it's covered in, like, jungle. So it's 0.4 kilometres long and 0.3 kilometres wide. It's little.
Yeah, little
small.
one. Just
small.
big enough.
And it's just kind of like a mountain, and then it's got some beaches around the side.
Gorgeous.
So only a small family of fisherfolk lived there, but otherwise the island was abandoned. Grimshaw was said to have fallen in love immediately with the island. He said in 2009, it was totally different. It was a special feeling. This is the place I'd been looking for.
Good.
So the following day, Grimshaw signed an agreement to pay £8,000 for the island of Moyenne. He bought his island.
Gorgeous. Dream come true.
Now, he knew that the tourism industry would want to purchase the quiet island in time, with resorts in the Seychelles taking off. Sooner or later, someone would want to come along and destroy the land in order to build a luxury resort. So along with a new friend, René Antoine Lafortune,
What a name.
he's a 19-year-old son of a local fisherman, Grimshaw started to tidy up the island and restore its natural state by getting rid of the weeds that had taken over. It was believed that falling coconuts never hit the ground because of the weeds.
Whoa. Okay.
It was also infested with rats, and there didn't seem to be any birds living there.
I'm picturing like the little islands in Pirates of the Caribbean that like Jack gets.
Funny you say that. So La Fortune and Grimshaw cleared the weeds, planted new trees including mahogany, palm, mango and pawpaw, and created walking paths through the island. He lived in a small home on the island as well. It became Grimshaw's life's work to protect the island from overdevelopment. Looking further ahead, he wanted the island to continue to thrive after he was gone. His vision was to leave an unspoiled island for future generations of Seychellois and the world, said Suketi Patel, who was a lifelong friend of Grimshaw's. He wanted to try and replicate what Seychelles and its island were like before the tourists came. So Grimshaw found 2 graves on the island. On their tombstones was written "Unhappily Unknown," and he believed that they were from the time of pirates.
Okay.
There is a story that the pirates hid treasure on the island, then killed 2 other pirates so that their spirits would protect the treasure. That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Built-in security. Hello.
I'm going to kill you, and your ghost has to guard the treasure. All right, Captain.
Yeah, sure. Yep, I'll do that.
Although Grimshaw tried searching for pirates' treasure on the island, he never did. His father came to live with him on the island, and then in the 1980s, just as he suspected, people came knocking and offered to buy Moyen. He was offered up to $50 million to sell the island to developers, but he said no every time.
Oh, good.
As time went on, Grimshaw started to worry about what would happen to the island after he was gone. He had no children to pass it on to. When his old friend La Fortune passed away in 2007, Grimshaw set up a perpetual trust to protect the island and signed an agreement with the Seychelles Ministry of Environment to include his island within the St. Anne Marine Park. In addition, it was given its own classification as Moyen Island National Park, and it became the world's smallest national park.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So Grimshaw died in 2012, and he was buried next to his father and the 2 unknown pirates.
That's so cool.
It's pretty punk rock.
That's really cool.
To this day, there is only a seafood restaurant on the island called the Jolly Roger, a small museum dedicated to Grimshaw's life, as well as 2 nurseries for giant tortoise hatchlings.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It is thought that Moyen has more plant species per square metre than any other national park in the world. And it's also home to 50 giant Aldabra tortoises who just walk around the island.
Oh, that's so sweet.
At one of its beaches called Pirates Cove, hawksbill turtles come to shore to nest. He gave the island back to the country, which was a noble thing to do, said Isabel Ravinia from the Seychelles National Parks Authority. Normally, people would try to sell off the island before they die so they can obtain money to do something else. Instead, he did something incredible. In his last will and testament, it was written, Moyen Island is to be maintained as a venue for prayer, peace, tranquility, relaxation and knowledge for Seychellois and visitors from overseas of all nationalities, colours and creeds. His friend Patel said, if you think you have a big problem, when you're on the island, you realise that it's not a problem at all. Moyen is what life should be like.
Oh, I agree. That's fantastic. Oh, thank you for telling us that. When are we going?
I would love to go there. Apparently, they only allow a limited amount of visitors, so only 50 people at a time are allowed on the island.
Fantastic.
And about 300 people go there a day, so it's a popular destination.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, it's just and
Nice.
And apparently, it's not uncommon to see one of the giant tortoises.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that he kept it for like preservation and looking after animals, and like it's just I know I love all pirate themed like restaurant, cove, like that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh,
It's really cool.
Oh my God, I love you and your pirate stories.
Should we tell them what next season's going to be?
Wow, we might have just revealed some of the theme. We're thinking pirates.
We're thinking it's going to be a maritime theme next season.
Go to a different time era in history. Change? What?
Yeah, we're stepping out of the 17th century into the 18th century.
Yeah, we're getting some
Time
ruffled
machine.
shirts. Watch us go. If anyone knows how to get on the Pollywood side or any other pirate ship, we would love to know. We want to be on a pirate ship. Yeah, it's just so cool, and you've got so many cool stories to do with it.
It's wild.
It's just a wild time, and I feel like we've all got like that Pirates of the Caribbean image in our head. It'll be so interesting to explore like everything else that was.
I'm going to tear all that down.
Yeah, we're doing it just like the plague. Gemma cleans up. She cleans up. Now, today I said I had to glam up for my story today, and I am so excited to talk about this story. Today we are talking about Saint Olga of Kyiv.
Amazing.
Now, it does go between Kyiv and Kiev. I think I'm going to try and stick to Kyiv, but if I do switch to our chicken Kiev, just ignore me. Ignore me for that. This was just a really fun story to do, and she's
wild.
She's wild, and I think she inspired a lot of modern fantasy shows that we watch.
She was the first Targaryen queen.
Honestly, yes, she was. Absolutely.
I love that portrait of her. She just looks so pissed off.
I've got the one where she's just like looking down. She's got a cross.
She's just like,
and she's just
enough of this shit.
Yeah. I don't like you, and I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna tell you. So my sources today are Wikipedia. Coming back is Puppet History. Thank you, Puppet History. Also, the Russian Primary Chronicle, which is a chronicle from Kiev and Rus, which is between 850 and 1110. Understood. It's a bit convoluted, but it's understood that it was maybe written by monks at the time. Mm-hmm. Debated, though.
As many histories were back in the day.
Exactly.
They were the chroniclers.
Yeah, there's one in particular, Leo the Deacon, which I will touch on. He's mentioned.
He sounds like a rap star.
Doesn't he? Leo the Deacon. Coming at you. Like, honestly. I think you can take a lot of those names. Bring back deacons. Anyway, obscurehistories.org, britannica.org, theconversation.com, and thecollector.com. Gemma, have you ever felt the need for like stone cold revenge? Like a retaliation so great and so powerful that you feel you could like just destroy an entire city.
No.
Just to satiate that need for vengeance. It's
Can't
really
relate.
Can't relate. And we really don't need that kind of energy anymore, do we?
I usually just kind of like, just get a bottle of Chardonnay and just listen to some metal.
Yeah, and you go, I'm all good.
Like, you know what? Rise above.
I'm better than this. Look, I'll be honest. I've definitely felt that need for revenge before, but never had gone through with it because it's a little harder these days. Let me tell you the story of not only a fierce and powerful ruler, but also a very well-loved and celebrated saint, who is Saint Olga of Kyiv. So keeping in mind this whole time, she is a saint. She was rose to sainthood. Choices. Okay. As a little disclaimer, although scholars still debate of how much of Olga's story is true, it is clear that she was a real monarch who had an undeniable effect on both her people and the entire Eastern Europe history. She really shapes a lot of what kind of goes on politically, especially. So let's talk about this story with maybe taking it with a grain of salt, and we'll just enjoy the historical tale for what it is, especially a storyline that could have been out of Game of Thrones.
I like to think it's real. I love this story.
I don't like why. I'm going to suspend disbelief because it's just so good.
It's like Claire's husband, Dan, always like, so one time he actually said to me, he goes, Gemma, all this ghost stuff, like, you don't really believe all this, do you? I go, Dan, it's not about believing. It's about wanting to believe. Just
the best part.
Step into the story.
Yeah.
Forget it. It's
Exactly.
like, people always say like, oh, WWE is not real. It's like,
No.
just
Enjoy.
be in it.
Yeah. Get immersed. Put yourself in that world because, I don't know, the world's really boring without all this
So
kind of
boring.
stuff. So I will choose to believe these epic stories and WWE. It's real. It's all real. Okay, our narrative today is set in the 10th century, located in a gathering of small factions of settlements and tribes of people known as the Kievan Rus, or where modern day kind of Russia, Ukraine and Finland is now. Rus was first established as this first established East Slavic state, and later was an amalgamate of territories in the Eastern Europe from about the 9th century to the mid-13th century. They were around for a while, encompassing a variety of communities and people, including East Slavic, Norse and Finnic, not quite a country, but not quite really separate lands either.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really interesting time. We don't really do that anymore. It's all kind of quite clear. The lands of Kievan Rus were mostly made up of forests and plains. The Slavic were primarily agriculturalists, growing cereal grains and crops as well as raising livestock. Before the emergence of the Kievan states, these tribes had their own leaders and their own gods, mainly of the pagan variety, and interactions between tribes were occasionally either for trading goods or fighting battles, obviously. The most valuable commodity traded were captive slaves or fur pelts. Just showing the time.
The time.
While trades among these collections of people worked quite well, as most humans do, they did not always agree though, and unfortunately didn't always get along peacefully. In the early 9th century, a group of Finnics and Slavic tribes among Rus were at war with each other. Bands of Scandinavian adventurers known as Varangians started plundering... Varangians, the myth of Varangians. It's the only way I can think about it. They started plundering various villages in the region and later extracted tribute from them in exchange for protection from other Varangians as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Caused a problem, and then they were like, we'll fix the problem as well. Okay.
It's complicated, but I'm staying with you.
We've got a little bit of lead up to how we get to Olga. So, over time, these relationships of tribute for protection evolved into a more permanent political structure. As the Slavs and the Finnish became consumed with war, they went to the objectively the strongest community at the time, the Vikings. This is something very interesting for history. They both approached the Viking warlord Rurik and agreed they both weren't going to get along without a clear ruler and asked for Rurik to rule their dynasty, which is something you don't hear very often.
No.
Giving up power to someone else, very interesting. But it was clear that they just couldn't get along and figure it out.
They must have had a lot of respect for him.
Yes, I think being the most feared kind of ruler of the time near them that they knew of.
Are we sure that he just didn't pop in and just chop off some heads and go, right, you shut up, you shut up.
Yeah.
You go in your room, you go in your room.
You go over there, you go over here.
Scribes say they came to me.
Say that they loved me so much.
Right.
I mean, this is where history gets convoluted, doesn't it? I would like to, it'd be nice to believe that all these like Slavic and Finnic men went up and were like, look, we just can't get along. I'm sorry. Can you just help us out? Like, it's not what happened, but I would like to think it did.
I don't know if I believe that.
So the Viking lords became princes and the Slavic, Finnic and Norse populace became their subjects. As all good Vikings do, the lords expanded their conquest south into Kyiv, known as the mother of Russian cities, being led by one of Rurik's clansmen, Oleg. Oleg. So in 882...
I've got such a clear picture of Oleg in my mind. He's
Big
a big guy.
Mustache.
He's actually got red hair in my mind. I don't know, but he's
I see red.
He's like
I see red.
it's like a rugby player type guy.
Yeah, big
Just
burly man.
big dude,
Big
a lot of
axe.
fur.
Yeah, a lot of fur. You got to. It's the Viking fashion. Hello. In 882, Oleg took control of Smolensk. I've got to say it with the accent. Southwest of Moscow, and then seized power or usurped power in Kiev by tricking and slaying the then rulers and setting himself up as prince instead.
How do you trick a ruler into that?
God damn.
Look over there.
Slice. Yeah, it was it was so funny. The two guys, I wish I'd written it down, had like very Russian simple names as well, like Vlad and like Keith or something ridiculous. I just imagine as two dudes like, oh, okay, like you can take our seat, I guess.
Like what in Buffy? What was Odds? Husband, what was his name? It was something like super simple like that.
Something like that. Oh my God, it's very that. Like just like the simplest orcs from Lord of the Rings, like very that. Okay, so this was commonly known as the founding of the Kievan Rus main city, basically. So it's starting to develop into more of a country as time is going on. It was then in this Kiev conquering Viking, he had a daughter named Olga.
Olga.
Olga then went on to marry Igor. He was the son of the Viking warlord Rurik, creating a pagan power couple so powerful, and they had one son together.
So the dads are basically like,
Yeah, why don't
hate you.
Yeah. They were like,
But their kids are like, let's put that
let's
aside.
put it together. No, so Oleg was one of our warlords, Rurik's, his clansman. So he was one of the higher up men in his army.
But he's still usurped.
He did.
What's his name?
Rurik.
Rurik's land.
Yeah. Well, technically, yeah. I
Or
think
part of it.
I think when I was reading it, Rurik was still kind of ruling his own kind of section. All of Kievan Rus he was ruling, but he went, Oleg, you go down there, you keep expanding our land and you can have whatever's down there. And it happened to be Kiev.
Okay. And then the intermarriage.
So they were like, let's
Lock
make
that in.
Yeah, let's make sure that the Kievan Rus keeps within our family line.
Right.
And
Okay. Now
let-
it's making sense.
Yeah, Oleg's daughter, Olga, which we'll get past the confusing names in a sec. It's very Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They all sound the same. And then Rurik's son, Igor, and they married together and they had one son, Svatoslav. There we go. Okay, just a quick fun story about how Oleg eventually died. Oleg is known as the Prophet, a nickname alluding to the sacred meaning of his Norse name, which meant priest. According to the legend, romanticized by Alex Pushkin in his ballad of The Song of Wise Oleg, it was prophesied by the pagan priest that Oleg would find his true death due to his stallion. To defy the prophecies, Oleg sent the horse away. Many years later, he asked where his horse was and was told that it had died. He then asked to see the remains and was taken to the place where the bones lay.
Not a good idea. Listen to the prophecy.
When he touched the horse's skull with his boot, a snake slithered out from the skull and bit him. Oleg died, thus fulfilling the prophecy.
Oh, my Lord.
I thought that was so funny.
You gotta leave a prophecy alone.
Leave horses lie. Like, leave 10 horses lie, honestly.
Literally.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Igor, Olga's husband, and the next to rule Kiev and Rus, basically. It was then his son, Igor, came into the position to rule Kiev. Oh, see, I'm doing it now. Kiev. By most accounts, he did a great job. Igor expanded his control over more of the surrounding lands and kept a watchful eye on the lands he already controlled. One of these lands was inhabited by the Drevlians and their leader, Prince Mel.
Oh, the Drevlians.
The Drevlians. They were a tribe.
They've got a metal logo that you can't read.
Oh, really?
No. Drevlians.
Yeah. The metal font.
Metal font.
Yeah, that's it. It'd make a sick band name, honestly.
I guarantee you there's a band called Drevlians.
Not me taking that very seriously. They were a tribe of early East Slav settlers, basically living from the 6th to the 10th century, and you'll find out why, which inhabited the territories of Polisia, including eastern Poland and Belarus, Ukraine border region, so quite close to Kiev and Rus. When the Drevlians defiantly stopped paying tribute to the crown, Igor paraded his bloodthirsty army to the Drevlian capital of Iskoristan and instilled enough fear in them to initially give in and agreed to reinstate the tribute to Igor. But when Igor greedily raised the tributes and demanded even more from the Drevlians in the same month of 945, it was then enough to tip them over the edge.
Testing that boundary.
Can't get Igor. Prince Mel and the Drevlians smelled an opportunity and then brutally killed Igor on the spot. So, by the Byzantine historian and chronicler Leo the Deacon describes how Igor met his death.
Can you say it in a rap?
I can barely talk as it is. It'd be cool. It'd be cool though if I could. The Drevlians.
It's bad.
The Drevlians, quote, had bent down 2 birch trees towards the prince's feet and tied them to his legs, and then released the trees and let them straighten out again, thus tearing the prince's body apart.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. So you imagine there's 2 trees here, they bend them in, they tie Igor's legs to the trees and then just let him go.
I would be getting my umbrella out.
Honestly, you hear about like drawn and quartered a lot. I used to teach medieval history to kids, drawn and quartered. So attaching 4 horses to your four limbs and then just letting you kind of
or in Furiosa, the motorcycles.
Yes, exactly. If you've seen Furiosa, very that. But they just did it with 2 trees. They were like, let's just keep it simple.
I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it. Gross. With Igor now, much like Natalie Imbruglia's 1997 smash hit,
Stop.
Torn.
Too soon. It's only been 1,000 years.
Do you know how much I laughed at myself writing that? I was like, I'm so funny.
You've been in the fridge too long.
The rightful ruler of Kyiv was now Igor and Olga's son, Svatoslav. Yeah, thank you. So you got to get the accent in there.
You have to do it. You can't do it in Australian.
Svatoslav. There we go. So, but due to him being a whole 3 years old, it was it was Olga who would take on the position until her son was old enough to hold an axe and a drink of ale in his own hands.
Like Cersei.
Yeah, exactly. Igor's death left his wife and 3-year-old son alone and potentially helpless in a particularly dangerous and brutal corner of the medieval world.
But were they helpless?
Were they? But Olga would soon prove why hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn. Olga stepped up as ruler with the full support of the Rus army and people of the lands, making her the first female leader of the Kiev and Rus realms. Olga's legend was born from her actions in the months and years to follow.
I mean, she played the long game.
Didn't she just? Yeah, if you want a lesson in revenge, just take a page out of Olga's book.
Sleep on it.
Sleep on it. Just give it a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. In true medieval fashion, the Drevlians, emboldened by their success in ambushing and killing the king, decided to make a play for the Kiev throne. The Chronicle reports their thinking as, see, we have killed the Prince of Rus, let's take his wife Olga for our Prince Mal, and then we shall obtain possession of Svlatoslavs and work our will upon him.
So wrong they were.
So wrong they were.
So basically they're like, okay, we've killed the ruler. There's just a chick now and her little toddler.
We can get...
We're in. We're in.
Easy. They decided to launch a charm offensive, sending a message to Olga proposing that she marry Igor's murderer, Prince Mel.
Oh my God.
So romantic. 20 Drevlian negotiators boated to Kyiv to pass along the king's message and to ensure Olga's compliance.
20 negotiators.
Yeah.
Top.
Yeah.
Men.
Top men. It said that they might have also been matchmakers, so they all went down there like, this is a great idea. You should totally
They've
do
got like
this.
star charts.
Yeah, they're like, it all makes sense. They arrived at Olga's court and told the queen why they were there. Quote, to report that they had slain her husband and that Olga should come and marry their Prince Mel. Can you imagine?
I'd be like,
so your husband's dead, soz, but instead, why don't you come marry our prince? Now, getting a bit of an idea of Olga and her kind of mind frame. Olga responded to this with, quote, your proposal is pleasing to me indeed. My husband cannot rise from the dead, but I desire to honour you tomorrow in the presence of my people. Return now to your boat and remain there with an aspect of arrogance. I shall send for you on the morrow, and you shall say, we will not ride on horses nor go on foot. Carry us in our boat, and you shall be carried in your boat. Clearly, these people have not watched Game of Thrones.
talk about charm offensive.
Right.
She's really the one driving the charm
She's like,
offensive.
oh, this is very, very...
This
what
is all a
great
bit
idea.
much for me right now.
I just need a night to process,
Yeah.
and then come back and we will honour you as you should be honoured. Maybe they should have been a touch suspicious about the come back tomorrow bit.
And we'll carry your whole boat.
We're going to carry you in.
You won't lift a finger.
Yep, exactly right. No, we will
Such
carry
is the honour that you give me
you
for
killed
killing my husband and serving you lunch.
Yeah, we'll take care of it tomorrow. Don't even worry about it. So when the Drevlians arrived the next day by their boat, they waited to receive the honour the queen had promised. When they repeated the words and demanded to be carried in as Olga had told them to, the people of Kiev rose up and grabbed the boat, carrying the Drevlians into the court. The ambassadors also believed this was a great honour. Of course they did. The people brought them in their boat into the court, where they were tossed into a trench that had been dug the day before under Olga's orders, and the ambassadors were promptly buried alive.
Love.
Best part, it is written that Olga bent down to watch them as they were being buried and said, quote, inquired whether they had found the honour to their taste. It's so savage. I love it.
I'm guessing also if any of them like crawled out or tried to crawl out.
No.
I mean, her peeps were taken care
Put them straight back in there.
Taken
Can you
care.
imagine that? Like you're having this great honour in this boat and you just slowly see a pit like getting closer and closer and it's bigger and bigger and you go, oh no. Oh, what do we do? Like there's no way to get out. You're going in the pit. And they're making sure of it.
And you're not getting out.
And you're not getting out. And
I wonder if they're still there.
that'd be cool, wouldn't it? I bet they are. I don't know where this pit is.
I wonder if they know.
So Olga's revenge had just begun.
Oh, we're not done there.
Oh, we're not done at all. After watching the final shovel of the pit be covered up, Olga sent a message to the... Anyway.
Next.
Thank you. Next. Olga sent a message to the Drevlians' capital explaining that they should send their most, quote, distinguished men to meet her in Kyiv so that she might go to their prince with due honor.
So they don't know what's happened.
They don't know
with
what's
the boat.
happened. No idea.
They're like, oh my God, our dudes, they're having such a good time.
Oh my God, she's agreed. Oh my God, we're going to
Wonderful
plan a wedding.
hostess.
And they want to send the most distinguished men so that she may like come over with honor and like, you know, safety. What a great idea. The Drevlians, unaware of the fate of the first diplomatic party, assumed Olga had accepted the marriage proposal and gathered another party of men to escort Olga, sending the best men who govern the lands.
I mean, she's pulling the card out of the bottom of the freaking house.
Just pulling like the tablecloth out and nothing's moving. No one knows. Whether these men questioned the location of the previous party is unknown, but instead of a freshly dug pit, Olga welcomed the men to her lands and insisted they clean themselves up before attending court and discussing marriage with her, as traveling such distances in this era resulted in some filthy, smelly men.
I freaking love this one because this is from Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Very
Legit.
much so. Once the men had entered the bathhouse, Olga commanded the doors and windows be barricaded and the building be set on fire, promptly burning all of the best men alive, naked and afraid.
Like Vace Dothrak.
Exactly. That's how I picture it. Mother of Dragons comes out. It's a whole thing. It's
Right.
Olga, actually. Satisfied with her revenge thus far.
How many guys were in there? How many people were in there?
Well, I couldn't, again, find it. I think it was another party of like 10 to 20 men again.
Yeah.
But, you know, the best of the
and
best.
I mean, like, top.
Yeah.
men.
They said that they rule the land, so they've just gotten all of the rulers taken out. She is playing them. It is so clever. I love it.
Do you know what she's also doing? She's leaving their wealth to their wives.
Oh my God, I didn't even consider that. She's like, this is girl power.
It's like, I'm doing you a favour.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been like another play in her mind to be like, well, I've helped you now, so you can accept me as your ruler. Like, it's very, very clever. Satisfied with her revenge thus far, but far from being done, Olga sent another message to the Drevlians, this time ordering them to, quote, prepare a great quantity of mead in the city where you killed my husband, so that I may weep over his grave and hold a funeral feast for him.
So I may get wasted at my husband's grave.
So I may get lit
mead.
as possible
Yeah,
and forget this ever happened. Side eye. Olga then travels northwest to the Drevlian capital of Iskoristan to meet with the none the wiser Prince Mal, happily picking flower arrangements and dinner menus for his upcoming nuptials.
I don't even know because there's no Facebook.
Exactly. There's no TikTok. How am I meant to know? When Olga and a small group of attendants arrived at Igor's tomb outside of the city, where her husband had been split in two, she did indeed weep and hold a funeral feast. Seeming much like a rehearsal dinner, basically, many of the Drevlians left the safety of the city walls to honour and celebrate the union of tribes with optimistic hope for a peaceful time going forward. Feasting and drinking and much merriment was had by all. But not everyone was partaking in the mead this night. Olga and her followers, and in some accounts, possibly Olga's entire army, red-wedding their asses.
Oh my God, yes.
So according to the primary chronicle, once they had been successfully toasted, roasted and hammered, Olga ordered her followers to kill the Drevlians. Quote, Olga went about herself egging on her retinue to massacre the Drevlians.
Wow.
slaughtering 5,000 Drevlian people, with even Olga herself getting in a few stabs. At this point, Prince Mel may have realised he's not engaged after all. I just love her so much.
She's just like, she's freaking wild.
Fool me once. Hello. Like, she's gotten them 3 times and probably lowered their population.
And she got in a few stabs herself. She's like,
you know, she loved it. She was like, yeah, fuck you guys. Fuck you. This is my husband. Okay, so you may be thinking, surely this is a satisfying and most delicious.
You'd think she'd be done.
You'd think the revenge is done, right? But that is not how a legend is made. Olga returned to Kyiv and prepared her army to finish off the Drevlian survivors. While she had cleverly pulled off 3 misdirections, she assumed the Drevlians probably wouldn't fall for another. So decided that this was just straight up war now.
I know, because like at this point, no matter what they know, it is war.
Yeah, it's war. She's done.
She's declared.
Well, actually, as a woman, she couldn't officially declare war.
Okay.
So to get around this and ensue the battle between the two forces, the Chronicle says that the young heir of no more than 10 years old, Svatoslav, threw the first spear, barely like clearing his horse and rallying the troops and declaring war. So the king still did it. He just like,
fair enough. It is done.
and then that counts. And she was like, yes, let's
very
go.
good, sweetheart.
Very good. Good, sweetheart. Mummy's proud of you. Olga's armies drove the Drevlians back into the safety of their walled cities, and her forces laid siege to Iskoristan. The siege lasted for a year without success when Olga, once again, cooked up a plan to use foul trickery against the Drevlians.
The sieges would go for so long. I mean, you don't just rock up and go, hey, we're outside, we're locking you in, we're going to starve you out.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Like, literally, like, sometimes months,
years.
a year.
There's a couple of history stories maybe we'll touch on, like 3 or 4 years of just being in the same spot trying to take over their city, which is quite a credit to whatever city they're trying to take.
The Mongols.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of, and they just kept building walls.
Yeah.
With trenches, so when they got through the walls, they'd fall into the trench. It's just, I love it.
Constantinople, I mean, they took that for flipping ages.
Exactly right. Like, siege is serious business. That's why, like, all the siege weaponry is so interesting. Trebuchets, and actually, you touched on it in the plague episode when they started flinging plague bodies back into the cities.
Right.
Like, medieval warfare is insane.
When you run out of pots and pans and cannonballs,
What do you got?
bodies.
Bodies. Sheep. Hello. Olga then sent a message to the Drevlians saying, why do you persist in holding out? All of your cities have surrendered to me and submitted tribute, so that the inhabitants now cultivate their fields and their lands in peace. But you would rather die of hunger without submitting to tribute. She's so savage. I just imagine her like on top of...
Give up, guys.
Just being like, come on, give in. The Drevlians asked Olga what they could offer as tribute to appease her. They suggested honey and furs, but Olga scathingly replied that they had neither, since they had been under siege for the past year.
Yeah, where are you going to get honey and furs, idiots?
Like, the pettiness is so funny. Nice try.
But it's crazy, like, she's like, literally, you've lost.
Yeah,
Like,
give in.
deal with it. And they're like,
Honestly.
can't
Do it. So the Drevlians responded that they would submit to tribute, but they were afraid she was still intent on avenging her husband, understandably.
You think?
Olga answered that the murder of the messengers sent to Kiev, and as well as the events of the feast night, had been enough for her.
She's still pissed.
She's pissed. Olga would propose peace under one small request. Quote, give me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each household. I do not desire to impose a heavy tribute like my husband, but I require only this small gift from you, for you are impoverished by siege.
See, I think this is where she goes full psycho.
This is like just... What is the word? Like, it's diabolical. Like,
yes.
It's just, I love The Drevlians rejoiced at the prospect of the siege ending for so small a price and did what she asked. A seemingly merciful and even symbolic tribute. When Olga was asked where they shall keep all of the birds, Olga instructed her followers to attach a piece of sulphur bound with a small piece of cloth to each bird. At nightfall, Olga ordered the cloth pieces aflame and released the birds.
And of course, where do pigeons go?
When they return to their
home.
roosts, exactly right. Within the city, returning back to the nests, the roosts, which are in trees, dove houses, and under the eaves of homes.
And a lot of these homes have got like
Thatching, like
twig roofs.
yeah, hay, highly flammable.
So flammable.
Yeah, no OH&S in this time, which subsequently kind of set the city ablaze, the whole thing at the same time. Diabolical. As the primary chronicle tells it, there was not a house that was not consumed, as it was impossible to extinguish the flames because all the houses caught fire at once.
Can you imagine like that visage of just seeing all the little flames flying in all different directions from one place?
Yep. Flying over suddenly. Like, it would have been horrifying to these people. Like, what's that? What's that now? And then your whole city is on fire.
Yeah. And it would have spread so fast.
So fast, yeah. And they're in a walled city that is surrounded. There is nowhere to go.
There's no way out.
So Iskoristan was annihilated. And as people fled the burning city, Olga ordered her soldiers to catch them, killing some of them and giving others as slaves to her followers, leaving the remnants to rebuild what they could and continue paying tribute, reducing the last of Olga's enemies literally to ash. So she left some people there. They were like, you can have it. I'll be back in a month for tribute.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
girl, come on.
Do you think that she would have taken this course of action if they had given up?
You know what? Like, yeah.
I kind of feel like she would anyways. Like,
I think she would.
cool, taking your city anyway.
She's like, I've done this much. Like, I think it's one of those things that's like, okay, I got revenge for that, for one person being killed. What kind of revenge are they going to try and plan for me killing, most of their noble people and 5,000 of them? What are they going to plan? She had to finish the job. Like, she didn't have to, but, this is Game of Thrones time. Like,
Right.
This is thinking of that kind of play you'd have to make.
Yeah. You win or you die.
Exactly right. And she, I think she was too spiteful to die. Like, she's like, no way, man.
Right.
Okay, with the revenge of her husband's death well and truly ticked off her to-do list now, and securing the throne for her son and his future line, Olga returned to Kyiv with as a feared and revered ruler, still with the full support of her army and her people. I think you'd be afraid to speak out a line if you didn't.
Not the right time.
Not the time,
Read
guys.
the room.
Yeah. Have a look around.
Yay!
Oh, amazing, Olga. My cousin was in a Drevlian, To ensure something like this would never happen again, Olga divided the Kievan Rus lands into sections and had them ruled by smaller governing bodies, establishing hunting grounds, boundary posts, town, trading posts across the empire, standardizing tribute and a regular schedule for when they were due. This is believed to possibly be the first legal taxation system in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. Olga also continued to evade proposals of marriage. She defended the city during...
Why would you even dare?
Aren't people more attracted to her now? They're like, she's so powerful. And,
She is so powerful.
and loyal. If I die, I know she's going to look after me and my people.
True.
Olga successfully defended the city during the siege of Kiev as well in 968 and saved the power of the throne for her son. Even when her son was old enough to rule, he had his mother continue to lead and handle internal matters during his prolonged military campaigns. Olga remained in charge of Kyiv, residing in the castle with her grandsons. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. She's doing a pretty damn good job.
Hashtag boy mom.
Mummy's boy. Okay, so if you might remember, this is Saint Olga as well.
I was going to say, and then they sainted her.
Yeah, that's right.
So we need her to know that we're like on her side.
We're on her side. Well, during the 9th and 10th century, the world witnessed a fierce struggle between two forces within the Christian Church. So the Catholic Church, under the leadership of the Holy Roman...
Horo.
The Horo Empire, under the leadership of the Holy Roman Empire, clashing with the Orthodox Church, guided by the Byzantine Empire. Mm-hmm. This battle for supremacy extended its reach into Kievan Rus, where pagan leaders were approached with marriage proposals to secure their conversion and ensure a prosperous future for their empire. The desperation in which these churches sought to expand their influence and power was nothing short of awe-inspiring to the European people, as we well know. So just to touch on this, Olga was pagan, and so was her family line, and this kind of Rus was pagan-based.
Right.
She decided she wanted to become a Christian and decided to go with, I believe...
Hashtag bit late.
Yeah, a little bit late, girl. Seeing the potential for Kievan Rus to be a part of something bigger and safeguarding its future success, Olga decided to convert to the Orthodox Church in Constantinople in 957. Byzantine Empire Constantine expressed interest in marrying Olga himself, but as she had chosen the empire to be her sponsor with her baptism, this made him her godfather. So after her baptism, the emperor proposed to the Queen of Rus. However, Olga replied that she was technically Constantine's daughter by faith because he had baptized her, and incestuous marriage was considered a sin in Christianity, so she could not marry him.
It's the worst thing she could ever do.
I know. She's like, can't do that. Not murder.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah. Exactly. The chronicle states that the Emperor Constantine admitted that Olga had bested him, and he sent her home with gifts of gold, silver, silks, and other valuable objects.
You got me. You got me there.
Well played, Olga. Well played. Olga, now a shiny new Christian, managed once again to avoid marriage, but also ensuring Kiev's independence from giant empires. It's very clever. Christianity would become the official religion of Kievan Rus under the rule of Olga's grandson Vladimir the Great in 988, which unfortunately Olga did not live to see. So Olga's son didn't accept Christianity. He was like, no, I'm not interested.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite a thing for them, a point of contention, if you will. But Olga's grandson Vladimir did make it the official religion, if you will.
Okay.
Olga, the blessed princess, would die from illness in 969 with her son, grandsons, and family surrounding her. Quote, her son wept for her with great mourning, as did likewise her grandsons and all of their people. They thus carried her out and buried her in her tomb. Olga had given commands not to hold a funeral feast for her, for she had a priest who performed the last rites over the sainted princess. Records state that when Olga died, the entire Rus Empire wept for her. Medieval texts such as the Primary Chronicle immortalized the Russian queen as someone who, quote, shone like the moon by night and was radiant among the infidels like a pearl in the mire. They loved her. They loved their queen. Thanks to Olga, the Rurik dynasty ruled for over 700 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Before being replaced by the Romanov dynasty.
Right.
So it all kind of ties together.
Huh.
Olga is still revered in Eastern Europe and is seen as a righteous avenger and protector of families. After her death in 969, she was made a saint in both the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches, where she is the patron saint of widows and converts. Not revenge, weirdly. She was even granted...
Widows, but really revenge.
But really? Well, she did make a lot of widows.
Well, yeah, there is that.
She was even granted the status of equal to the apostles by the church.
Wow.
Her tomb did remain in Kiev for over 2 centuries, but was destroyed by the Mongolian armies in 1240.
Bastards.
Yeah, I know. The sarcophagus was found in 1826 during an excavation and moved to the Historical Museum and then finally to the St. Sophia Cathedral, with countless monuments and churches around the world dedicated to St. Olga. And her feasting day is the 11th of July, which is the anniversary of her death. So happy feasting day to Olga last week. And that is the bloody history of Olga of Kyiv, our Saint Olga.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
Love. It's the best story ever.
It's so funny. Like, it's not funny, but it really is. She fooled them 4 times.
Why has there not been a movie or a TV show, like an epic TV show about this?
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't see anything. Nothing came up when I was researching it. And I was like, this is one of the coolest stories. Like, this would make such a good, like, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones-esque epic. Maybe they're working on it. Who knows? They should, because
This is where it all started.
Right? She really set the stage for quite a lot of fables and cool tales now. It's just probably the most epic form of revenge I have ever heard of.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I love that. That was really fun to research as well.
It's like, be too much, bitches.
It's never not worth it. Just do it. Slay. Slay.
Literally.
Oh my God, that was awesome. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for saying all of those words.
I know.
It was awesome.
I feel like I stumbled over a lot of those words most of the time, but I try my best and that's all that matters.
You did. You chose a hard one for
I
pronunciations.
really, really did.
Yeah,
I was like, what? The 900s has hard words? What?
In Russia?
What? Russian words? Are you kidding me? We will put up photos of Olga and any other historical photos I can find. I'll put up the sword. We'll put up the island as well. If you have any like tidbits, if you know any more about Olga, please send it through. This is just like a very small part of her life. She did a lot of things for Eastern Europe, if you will. And yeah, tell us what you think on all social medias, all of the platforms at I Think My Fridge is Haunted.
Yes, yes. And if you're watching this on YouTube, or even if you're not watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please.
Because you can watch us talking.
Yeah, you can see all the arm movements that I do. You can see the fun lighting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was so much fun. Thanks.
Yeah. Cheers. Let's wrap it up.
Shall we wrap it up?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Until next time, be creepy.
But don't be a creep.
Bye.
Bye. Hang on,
we'll pause.
Hang on. Hey, what's it called when, like, in medieval times, a ruler appoints another person to rule on their behalf? Like, do you remember? Vassal. Is it vassal?
Hold on.
A vassal ruler.
Vassal seems right, but he just went in there. So there was 2 rulers of Kiev at the time.
Usurper. He's a usurper.
It's the same kind of thing. A person who takes a position of power or importance illegally.
First thing comes up, Robert Baratheon.
I just love that you can call Louis and be like, hey, what's this really specific?
No. He knows I live in medieval times.
It's
in
the
my head.
best.